Yo, 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 yo. Episode 23 happening right now. It is a long-awaited episode where I sit down with my mama. We talk about more than just my addiction. We kind of talked about a lot of things that, parents who have loved ones and children in addiction, things that she learned throughout the process that can probably help them. So it was an awesome episode. I'm very excited to have you guys listen to this one, so I will make this quick. Room9podcast.com is awaiting you to fill out a contact form. So please go there and go to the contact page and fill that out. You will get all up-to-date emails on everything that is happening at Room 9, which is more than just a podcast. So that would be awesome. And it helps me know how many people are really listening out there. That is a tough thing to come by on the internet, even with Google Analytics and everything else. Anywho, also, there is a support page on Room 9 that if you wanted to help spread the message of what is going on here, help pay website fees and RSS feeds and all the other stuff that comes up to keep this thing going and running, please do that. You can do a one-time donation of any amount. You can sign up on Patreon and become a patron, and you get something back in return for that. I will also be starting in the very near future an audio journal that will be released just to people who have helped out in the financial world of Room 9. That being said, episode 23 with my mama is coming up right now. I hope you guys really enjoy it. This was an awesome episode, and we were overdue for one of these. The last couple ones have been more on the comical side. They were educational, but they were more comical as well. They're just kind of more relaxed. But this one is really on point. So hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for listening. I will talk to you guys later.
We're not recording yet, are we? No. You're going to give me a sign, right, when we're recording?
Yes, I've been recording. We just flow into it. I edit stuff out, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, the mama. She's never done this in her life.
A lot of people have never done this. So I got the whole setup here. It does get frustrating sometimes if people are rowdy outside the doors, but thank goodness Mike, the one guy who lived here, would walk so loud. I thought it was Jurassic Park and the T-Rex was coming. And it would, like, you could hear it on the audio recorded. I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude's driving me nuts. I'm very thankful he's gone.
Well, there's reasons people are in our lives.
Yeah, he was. He was more than a test. You know, people say, oh, the next Mike will be there. Not like this. So he was insane.
Never know. Sometimes you get worse than what
He
you
was worse, and the only thing, he wasn't a thief, he lied. I shouldn't say that. He lied to me a lot at the end of his stay here, but he wasn't a thief. That other Mike was stealing food all the time. That was a pain in the ass, too, but...
Well, there's reasons why. Maybe to teach you deep patience, and taking care of other people is hard.
Yes, it is. But I thought it was fitting to have you on for my 1-year anniversary.
It is 1 year. Today.
Or yesterday was, technically, but the 12th.
But I think this was the morning
true.
I had to go down to court.
Yes.
Which was just god-awful. I couldn't believe I did it, but I did. It was awful seeing you in orange and your hands shackled up, and...
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to bring you home and take care of you. It was really, really hard. But much better 13th morning this morning.
Yes, it is. One year ago, it was pretty much chaos in our family.
It was.
Yeah, that was definitely a challenging year this past year. But I think Megan had a post that I thought was awesome about how once again our family has come out on top of a big challenge, as we always do, and it's brought us all closer, I think.
I think we are our good traits are we're very forgiving of others and that. So that really helps. And I think our laughter, we find, Not that I found any laughter in the jail scene.
No, but we made
everything,
jokes
but
like having our Christmas card will all be in
We-
orange, and
about 4 months, 5 months later.
yeah. But we made some jokes about it, and we do always have this sense of humor. That's for sure.
And I guess the other thing that was so hard was they only let me give you one hug, and I'm not supposed to really touch you, and that was really
Oh, the visiting at the jail.
and sitting on my hands, and well, no, you had to keep your hands up though, right? On
Yeah,
the table.
on the table, yep.
And I just kept wanting to just brush your face, or that was so hard too. Hard things we joked about because I thought they're going to be throwing me out of here. And
That's right. Well, you and Megan are hand talkers. You like to move your
are.
hands a lot when you talk.
I'm trying to keep them down now.
It's like whacking the
I don't
microphone.
whack the microphone. There probably will be a couple whacks, but I don't know.
But yeah, I didn't really know because I didn't even prepare. Like when I dropped you off from work the other day, I was like, you know what, I should have her on for the 1 year thing because I needed a podcast for Monday. So I didn't even really think about if I wanted to kind of get your point of view of everything from when everything first came out in January of, what was that, 2017, right? Or 18? No, 2017.
2017, yeah. You took your children home, my grandchildren. You took them home to Florida. I had settled down. We were going to just have we were going to watch some movies and order food and just have a relaxing rest of the day because that's always hard to say goodbye. And your friends called me, Dave and Christine, your significant other, and that. They wanted to meet with us. I knew it was bad. I knew something was really bad. They really wanted to come and talk.
Which both of them have been on the podcast. Christine twice. Well, Dave kind of twice too. We had a really short episode, and we did another one. But yeah, they've both been on a couple times.
But I knew right away, and Dave wouldn't really tell me what it was about. He wanted to be face to face, and then it was like I had to wait 3 hours. And I called Megan, and Megan was like, you know what this is about? And I'm like, no, I don't. But she was right, I did. And then they came over, and once they had shared that you were using, I wasn't quite sure what they were going to share that you were. I thought maybe the oxycodone, you were on the pills, but I never thought heroin. And that scared the living daylights out of me. I thought I would have gone down on the floor and not get back up. But, it just was just so scary to me, the heroin. Once I wrapped my head around it, we were waiting for you to come home. And I remember everybody was like, well, we don't want to push him over the edge. And what are we going to do? This was a big debate. And I remember thinking, I have always been front forward as much as I can be with my children. I said, I'm not going to lie to him. I'm going to just tell him front forward. This is what we know. Now what? I definitely didn't want to push you over. That's always been kind of in the back of my mind that I could really hurt you if you died and there's something you overdosed and things. So, but when you came home that night, you just admitted everything. So you really were they were all worried you were going to overreact, and they went through your clothing and things. I mean, I gave them keys and that to the car to see if we could find things that you had stolen, and that over Christmas vacation and things. I felt like I was really violating you. That was really hard for me to watch them go through your bag and different things. But our goal was always to help you. But it was something I couldn't do yet. I couldn't do it. So I was very glad they had done that. We found a lot of things. But you were very accepting about that. And then watching you go through that withdrawal was really terrible for me. I don't even know if it was one of your worst withdrawals, if you had worse in jail, which came later the second time around.
No, jail was actually the easiest, and this is why when I talk to people about withdrawal a lot, very much, well, obviously there's a physiological thing, especially with heroin. You feel it, but everything is so, psychological, more so than anything. And I think in jail, being in this detox room, not knowing anybody, not really having any connections to be able to get anything in there, anything to trade, even if I did find anything in jail, it was just knowing that I couldn't go anywhere and get some. And it was actually ended up being a lot easier for me in jail. So that was a big thing that I realization I had too while I was in jail. But the withdrawal, everything is so much more psychological on addiction. Even the physiological things are over quickly. They're done with quickly. Within a week, 7 to 10 days, really with the exception of some of the medications you can get, the medical assisted treatment stuff. Some of that has a long withdrawal time, depending on how long you're on it. But the withdrawal was nowhere near as bad as it was when I was at your house doing it. That was probably the worst.
It was hard to watch you, but you continued to work. You really didn't miss too many days of work.
Yeah, and that was tough too. I think going back, I probably should have just fessed up to my boss, hey, I need this time off to get better, and which essentially doing that, obviously I got better with as far as my physical independence, but that was it. I didn't work on anything else, and that was the main key to the relapse in itself, was not dealing with any of my guilt and shame that came along with my actions
And I think
of my addiction.
we went to see Molly and Herb during that time immediately, because I called her because they have dealt with addictions, and Herb's a 70-year-old man. But
And Molly's a lady you've worked with for quite a few years.
Yes. He just had so much experience. He was really, but he shared that with you. You got to be meeting with people and in groups, where you're going to go. He wanted to know what you were going to do right away, hit you with a plan. And I guess, everything is in the time it's supposed to be. But I had, that probably would have been good if you had hooked up in some groups. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when I, talking with Christine about this, obviously we've done 2 episodes, but we've talked a lot more than that. I think the really getting arrested was the best thing. Going in jail was the best thing for me, because I figured out a lot in my head in jail for this.
And I knew I couldn't have
2
you
months.
arrested. I just couldn't call the police on you for the things you had stolen.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. So after Christine kicked me out, I was at your house, and then I relapsed again, and then I went back to the house Christine and I have lived in for over 4 years, and took a couple more things that day, and then she called you and shared with you, that he's taking more stuff, and
she was so upset. She was really crying so hard. I just said to her, that there was a time of peace at that point that I had when I said to her, you got to call the police. Call the police. He needs help. I don't want to bury a son. I just don't know. And he's running really fast now. So I'm very thankful she did that. I've never in this whole time, when things looked like they were going to be turning out wrong or not right, or we switched different judges and different things and different courts, and I thought, boy, if you get in jail and they don't help you, it would be awful. But I am very thankful that she did that. Mm-hmm. I'm eternally grateful for that, because I do believe that was the biggest turning point for you. And even for me, because I probably have been your enabler, one of your best ones going, which really goes against the grain of my personality. I don't know. I do kind of know where it probably happened, would be back, and I know you've talked about your brother and sister. And I've always said they had a better mom in me, that I was tougher and called them out on all their crap, anything that I knew about. And then versus you and Megan, I just, after the death of them, things just changed. You guys were in so much pain, and I was in so much pain, and your dad, but I just was so worried about you guys. I did things that I would never have done before their home going, before they died.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've apologized to you before about, was I think I really saw that and used that to my advantage. Even even when I was 16, 17, I knew I could get away with more. And
yeah, they definitely had a much tougher on top of things mother.
Do this cleaning and I'll give you $20 or whatever. I don't do it, you still give me the $20. Stuff like that.
Didn't teach you good life lessons, did it?
I know that, I think Megan and I have learned, I think life taught us life lessons at a very young age. I think that's really what it comes down to, too, is we've learned a lot at we were both forced to grow up rather quickly because of that incident.
And you were.
And I've always said, too, that's kind of really wasn't my reason of use. A lot of people assumed that when, I would share them with my brother and sister dying, that I was trying to numb that pain and get rid of that pain. And that was something I felt that pain I've been with for well before my addiction even started, that I've learned to deal with and face. And that's always something, like, I remember almost not arguing, but really, like, counselors trying to tell me one day, like, no, that has, I was like, dude, I'm just telling you. Like, I've sat with that, I've been with that for a long, long time, for many years before my addiction even started.
I know, but I've always thought you had that the hardest because I think at 14, almost 15, I think we are, you're just got so much going on. Everything's changing, your hormones, just so much in the brain and everything to begin with. I think you had the hardest age to have something like that happen. So, I mean, it definitely affected you.
It took 10 years for me to realize how much it affected me. Because I remember not even like really crying when you first told me about it. I think I was just completely numb at that point. Like I still don't think I believed it at first, and it was just definitely like just numb to it. And looking back, I remember hanging out with my two friends, Dave and Corey, in probably in my early 20s, and they would be talking about high school a lot. I started noticing this, and I don't remember any of these people they're talking about, or the teachers, or this major event that happened. Like, I don't remember any of it. And that's when I kind of started thinking about how much it really did mess me up. That's what made me really start looking into it, because I was like, how come I don't remember any of this high school stuff?
Yeah.
That so many people remember. And I definitely had almost a blackout period where I didn't remember much of anything.
I think we do have that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got that too.
Well, it's a defense mechanism that our brains do, pretty much. Psychologically, trauma, you just repress it. And I mean, there's a lot of cases where people don't even remember, being molested or something, or raped as a kid or whatever it may be. They just don't remember it at all. And something's causing it. And after years of therapy, eventually they dig it out and remember it. I've always said it's crazy how powerful the mind is.
And that's probably a good thing for a child.
Yeah.
And that for a while, because how do you deal with that? Or do you even know what it is? And that, because children live in you live in the time, right in the day you're in, the moment you're in. I mean, even Megan that day, was because it was Thanksgiving. She was very, she was
she would have been 8?
She was 8, yes.
8,
and
okay.
she cried really hard, but then she was just couldn't believe we weren't going to serve the turkey dinner and go around the table and tell everybody what we're thankful for, because that's what we do on Thanksgiving. And she just says, we have to have turkey, And I mean, she was devastated. We weren't having the turkey dinner that day. And I just really realized, but that's what I said. I think your age is the hardest age. If I had, looking back on my whole life, I think if you're this age, this is a tough time to have major trauma happen.
Well, why do you think that is?
Because I think there's so much going on inside of teenagers, young teenagers. And I'm not even quite sure. I just remember a speaker one time saying that the brain waves, and maybe you can concur this because it's only me hearing it from a speaker, but I've always held on to that like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, your brain is not thinking in the gray matters, or that, one time it could be right, but another situation, the same thing could be a wrong thing to do. That it just takes time for the brain to get up to this. I don't know if if you've ever read anything.
Yeah, well, I know your brain doesn't even completely develop till I think you're 22 or 23.
Well, back then in these age groups, they say that it's just black and white. So either it's got to be black or white, but life is not black and white. We all know that there's, different things and stuff. So I knew that too with you. I probably should have pushed going to counseling out at Horizon Village and really seeing how much that had helped me, even with you and our whole family. We should have probably gone to family counseling back then. I don't know why. I think for me, I was so open about everything. And I had good people around me. I was talking about my son and my daughter and my emotional feelings and that. But if it happened again, if I had to go back and I could go back, we definitely would. I would have really encouraged us all to go. And you might have just sat there like a bump on the log. I don't know.
Probably.
But because you've always been my more introvert child. Mm-hmm. I don't think of you as an introvert, but there are things I see in you. And people will say to me, Sean's an introvert? And I said, well, compared to the other 3 children, he really is. You've always needed, time by yourself, even as a young child.
Yeah, I love my time by myself.
It just was always, and the other 3 were never like that. And you could only take people so much, and stuff.
That's still true.
And you needed to go up, go have some quiet time in your room, and you were even, 8, 9, 10. And you'd go up there for 2-3 hours and be playing with your Matchbox cards and Legos and just chilling. So
yeah, that's been something that has stayed with me. That is for sure. Although I still don't play with Matchbox cars, but That could. That was one of my favorite things with my son is playing with his pirate toys with him, and it was always nostalgic
to do that.
to do that with him. So I guess moving on to, I guess we can get back to my addiction. We kind of trailed off there in a good way.
Okay.
But no, that was a good trail off though.
That's good then.
But kind of sticking with the whole dealing with me in jail, and then Save the Michaels after everything. First, it was, I should say, I haven't really talked much about this on the podcast. First, it was a challenge to even get in front of a judge that was going to look at my case as an addiction thing.
Well, I started going crazy after this and calling. Like I called Ryan Delafuente, and he's telling me, you want Judge Hanna. You got to get Judge Hanna. He's so good at what he's doing. And, he works for the narcotics squad or what, I don't know what they're called.
He's a state trooper, right?
He is, yeah, but he works in the inner city in that. With that. That's where I was surprised at that. And, he's telling me that we got information from another friend who's an officer, and like they're, go Judge Hanna. And I'm hoping we don't get Judge Hanna. So it was like...
No, well, the whole issue with this from the beginning, and it still annoys me, is that they labeled this a domestic violence thing from the get-go because Christine's the one who ended up calling the police. And this is where they kept sending me. So they seen on the paper, I went into city court in front of the lady. They seen significant other, called the cops, domestic violence. So then they sent me to the domestic violence judge, and that was Pridgeon over at City. And then I seen her once, and I seen her twice, and then she was going to, forget exactly what we had to do, but I remember my lawyer, public defender, I should say. I don't know how much of a lawyer he was, but he just said, we got to take this over to county if we're going to get this labeled an addiction thing. So that was a pain in the butt. And even then, I'm still in domestic violence court.
I know, because burglary in the first degree is a felony with rape, murder. It's the lowest of them all, but it's in there. And even still now, like I'll watch the news, and you could have been in jail for 5 years for that. Mm-hmm. And it was like $200, less than $200 worth of stuff. But because you went into her home, it's a violation of us on a personal level. That's my home, and I'm being violated.
I mean, if I had a lawyer, it would also have been argued that
it would have.
I live there. My mail goes there. My dress is there. I mean, all that other things.
I'm not sticking up for that. I mean,
no, I know.
I'm just saying I was in shock to learn that.
Yeah.
And they were talking 5 years, and even in the news this last 2 weeks, a guy who manslaughter, he gets 5 years, and then 5 years probation. That was his sentence. And another one rapes a young woman who was in a authority part. That just came out. He's got 5 years in jail, and I'm like, then my son has 5 years in jail. We could have had 5 years in jail. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
no,
it's just
it's
kind of crazy
happen,
how that works out, and it probably is the lawyer thing. But
it always is. It's always money. Always money.
Sorry.
But so yeah, that was a trouble just to even get my case labeled to.
So that was a lot of frustration and scary stuff. I'm like, wow, wouldn't this be some? And if you weren't going to get any help for the drugs, I think that's all we wanted. And I mean, Christine wanted that so bad. The DA knew that from her. That's all I really wanted from him. My prayers were always, he doesn't get no help, even if he goes for 5 years to jail and there's no help. Where is he going to be when he comes out? What?
Well, that's the problem with the whole system. Not even just with addiction, with every crime.
Well, that's true.
They don't help anybody. They lock them behind bars. They don't help them with anything, and then they let them out. And all right, have a good time.
Back in the same
and they're right back
cycle.
where they are, same position, same lifestyle. Nothing. And I'm not saying everybody's going to accept help and sit down with a therapist and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that's not easy to do either, but there's nothing there. I mean, I remember going out for rec in jail and seeing these people behind bars, and like, this is what you do to people. And you throw them in there, and I mean, it's just insane. Obviously, now when you go upstate, it's a little different. You have a little more freedom and stuff, but you're still not getting any help you need. There's very little help available for people in general, and it's just a system. It's a cycle, and it just keeps going around, and it makes a lot of people a lot of money, or I should say a few people a lot of money.
And that's the one good thing that I saw from jail that I was very thankful for, was at least you were in a group from Best Life.
Best Self. Yes, that's something they just started, which they are slowly trying to do things, but yeah, I was in a
And you stayed up there
in an area
because
with
you were
all
participating
addiction, with
in
all
that.
addicts.
So that and really, when you think of it, what you were in there for, I'm just really thankful that's where you stayed too. I seen everything, falling into place. It just was difficult before it did, and you could see where you were coming to, and
Yeah, but it was funny looking back. Like, it would have been better if I had drugs on me when I got arrested.
Yeah, it would have.
Which was crazy. Yeah. But so that was frustrating, trying to get that all done. And then you were set, they were going to allow you to drive me to this rehab.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was Save the Michaels. We were going through them. They got me a spot and all the way out by Manhattan in Orangeburg, New York.
And I didn't care. I just wanted some, because we only had the time in jail, and it was a strict hour. Sometimes it wasn't even the full hour, and you're in and out, and you had to be careful. There were always people around, and like I said, I just wanted to spend time with you. I was so excited about that, and we got down there. We got your stuff together, and Janet Gaskin had come up. I only had like 5 minutes with you, and then she's talking to me, and she's so excited and about you and your future, and I'm like, I just want time with my son. I mean, I did. I cried so hard when they called me and told me I wasn't driving you, and that. I think it was the night before, and I just was heartbroken because I really wanted to do that trip and just to have you there. And they warned me that you could jump out of the car and run away, that I was to let you go, not to, if you ran away. And the courts, and I'm like, I don't think he's going to jump out of the car and run away. I couldn't picture you doing this, and that makes me laugh, because I'm thinking I'll kill him if he ever did anything like. I can't even imagine you doing that. But they were telling me stories of people doing that.
Oh, I'm
sure. They just make sure to let you run because you could get violent, and I'm like, I could get hurt, and I'm thinking, okay, all right, well, anyway.
Well, that's the thing. I've been put into this category.
Well, but we were talking. I didn't even put that together.
Stereotypical category from the beginning, with everything. And I've always, I told all my counselors, like, when it comes to me, it's like I'm an anomaly. I really am with the addiction thing.
Yeah, and Janet had helped me with so much stuff, but right at that moment, I just wanted to spend time. I knew I was looking at. I think what did we have? Did we even have 5 minutes?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Oh, I just was.
Which that was annoying because I got into the car and we sat there for like a half hour before we left.
But again,
which was crazy.
I think it was good you went there.
Got out there, yeah.
I think there were things there, that had to happen to you. You could have come back in and stayed at the home. I think I'm right on this. Over on Seneca Street.
Kaz Manor?
Early,
yeah.
And you chose
to go to Horizon Village.
But you knew you'd had to wait, and you could have gotten back in here. But
yeah, I was very thankful I made that decision.
I think the one thing, just have to be patient and wait. And you had a lot of people praying for you and things, but I think you just had to be. I had to be patient, and that was difficult at times, but I see where it paid off, and I think it's taught me a lot of things.
Yeah, I knew. Well, I've just seen it over and over again. People, from the second I stepped into rehab, people rushing to get out. Like, want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. I need to get out. I got to do this. I got to do that. And they end up right back.
And that was happening. But Horizon Village was the biggest place for me that helped me personally, because we had to drive out, 30 minutes to get to see you in Sanborn. But it was also worth it. They really helped me to see myself, what's going on, and
their family groups,
to forgive myself. There just are things that because I was so much softer on you. Like I said, Michelle and Jay, I thought had a really great mom, the mom they needed. I felt like your sister didn't really give me a lot of she did give me some, though. That's true. But anyway, not much. But I saw that this is what had to be done now too with me. It was okay at that time. I had to forgive myself not to blame myself for the choices you were making. Mm-hmm. And that. So
yeah, that's definitely a big thing. I think I'm sure a lot of parents of addicts go through that. Probably blame themselves, or that maybe they could have done something right or done something differently, that their son or daughter or whatever loved one that they have wouldn't be in the position they're in.
Yeah, I think parenting does that to you.
Mm-hmm.
You probably know that.
Yeah, that's and then granted, my kids are still pretty young, so there hasn't been any like crazy life mistakes that they have made or gotten into trouble or done anything yet. But I definitely can see that. I think that
But
definitely
even how the
happens.
divorce affected them both, that has to really do some things with you, your mind.
Well, that was that again. Going back to the one of the biggest pains of why I enjoyed drinking and other drugs, it was that numbing of the guilt from that. That has been my biggest thing. It was really the one and only thing that caused issues between even Christine and I. Was I could be, especially in the beginning, I would walk into a room and be completely happy, and then see her nephews or whatever playing, and it just reminded me of my kids, and just all of a sudden, with the snap of fingers, I would be just silent and felt guilty and felt like I could go somewhere and cry and didn't want to do anything and didn't want to socialize. So there's so many issues there that I didn't, deal with for my divorce. I mean, I just felt every aspect of my life, I felt like a failure. I felt like I hurt my family. I felt like failure as a son, a husband, a brother, because especially letting her leave to go to Florida, I think was the toughest thing for me to really, I did not want to, I couldn't handle that at all. That responsibility of that mistake.
So, and that's what happens with parents. I think we do self-evaluate and look back and imagine a lot, like you said, a lot of parents and grandparents who've raised children that are ending up with addictions probably really do blame themselves. What could have been done differently?
Yeah.
How did I not see it? How was I so stupid? I mean, that's kind of what I felt like. This was about my stupidest time of my life, that I was buying into so much lies and things. And where did you go? And that stuff. So
Yeah, that's one thing every addict says. Oh, I was good at lying, good at manipulating. And I'm going to say this on the record, that is not true. There are some terrible liars out there, so I don't know who they were lying to, but some of the people that come were like, you're terrible at that. But I especially had a gift. I had patience when it came to manipulating people, and I think that's what made me so good at it.
you do start with, I might need some money for the court, the judge, not the courts, I mean the lawyer, when we were talking about getting the kids and, getting some help there. We've just never had the finances to really get a good lawyer.
Yeah.
So.
With the whole divorce thing, but we'll see where that goes too. But yeah, I mean, I was definitely very.
But I mean, I remember scraping up money that I didn't have. I mean, I really believe you were paying. You were paying the. I can't think of his name now.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of. I mean, yeah, I used that all the time to get money from people. It was, obviously these things were really going on. I just didn't use the money for that. And that always was a go-to for me, was using the money, my divorce and how much ridiculous amount of child support that comes out of my check as an excuse. And
there's
so many different things.
Some things there that are.
Yeah, but obviously I had no intention of ever using the money that I was hinting towards that I could use for it.
Well, that's what I said. I think our family is good forgivers. Really, it's done. And
well, that's obvious, yeah.
I have, but you almost got to forgive. That's always been one of my things. I mean, I'm a believer. We know that, about that I'm forgiven from Jesus, and I have to forgive others. I think that's just right up there with it because of what I see has been done for me. But I have to forgive others for myself because that ugliness that grows inside of you, if you keep all that anger and everything, it just keeps growing up in you, and I don't want to live like that.
It physically can start bothering you, yeah.
Oh my gosh, so many ways and things.
Yeah, that's forgiveness like you said earlier. I think our family has a natural gift of it.
We're very and I'm very thankful for that.
I mean, the only human being I've ever really struggled to forgive is my ex-wife for things, and I think I finally have come to peace with that over the last month or so, few months.
Because that'll end up hurting just you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it tore me apart.
And it doesn't change anything.
Yeah. No,
it really doesn't.
And that's just a weight off of your shoulders. And I always said that about my ex-wife, Michelle, she's carrying around hate and resentment for every moment we were together. That's all she thinks about is all the negative things. And I don't know how she carries that around. It's a heavy thing to carry.
Well, like I said, it grows inside of you. Mm-hmm. And it just wraps itself around every aspect of your life eventually. And you really just are hurting yourself if you've got to self-forgive too. You really do. You can't carry that.
Yeah, and that was another huge one is self-forgiveness for me. I definitely had to. Those have been my big things is forgiving myself and loving myself and all of those self-care attributes that we need as human beings in order to learn from our mistakes and accept our mistakes and everything else. So, yeah, going back to kind of the rehab, like going from Orangeburg now to Horizon Village, the place at Orangeburg was 28 days, and I stayed there for 50 so I could get into Horizon because I didn't want to go to this Cas Manor place. And like you said, Horizon has a great family program.
And originally when I heard Cas Manor, I thought, oh my gosh, that's so great. You'll be so close to home. And I just had to stop and think, you got to let him make these. He's, here he tells you. I remember that night, I'm like, I could feel the tears welling up. He could have been coming home, and this would be so great. And I just thought, he told you that he's going to wait to get into Horizon Village. You, again, have to be patient. He's the adult. You got to let him make this decision. He knows what's going on inside of him, and I don't. I think that's probably one of the biggest life lessons I've learned from this whole thing is letting him, and not just you, even with Megan. I have to let them make their decisions. I can give them advice if they ask, but these are their decisions to make, and they know what's going on inside of you. You knew you could not come back to Cas Manor. That would not be a good place for you to be.
No, I think just in talking with so many people who've heard about it, Horizon Village and Cas Manor. I mean, Horizon Village, I knew people were telling me all the things that they had there that you could do. And
it is
computers, and you go outside whenever you want. 12 hours of the day, you can go outside when there's not groups. I mean, they just had so many things happen in the family groups. And
that was so good for us. I mean, I think I was there as much as I could be.
Almost twice a week, yeah.
Yeah, because it just was calming and peaceful every time I left there. I don't think I ever left there not feeling like this is where you need to be right now.
Yeah, that was really nice there. Yeah.
And just the staff was just so phenomenal and so good to me. And then the other people I met there. I mean, it was so good for me to see other addicts because now I learn more about the brain and how, where this is, like people will just say, get right off of it, blah, blah, blah. But I said, you're not realizing what's going on inside. Look, I'm going to the back of the head. You're not realizing about the neurotransmitters and things. And I mean, how important this is and what's taking place in there. That was just such an eye-opener for me to realize this just isn't, you choose to be an addict. You choose to do this. You choose to be fat. And that, do you not understand? It's helped me in my own life, with overeating and things. It has helped me to see things in a different light, that there is things going on up there in the brain that's saying you need this and you need it now. And not that I'm comparing myself, but it has helped me in that. So
yeah, it was awesome. Like you said, the staff at there was great. They were all awesome. There's not one counselor at Horizon Village. Man, I'm acting like they sponsor me. There's not one staff member at Horizon Village that I didn't think cared, the building I was in. Not one counselor that seemed like they were there just to collect a paycheck.
No, and, even Robert, when we would meet as a family, it was so good to see how he called you back when you were kind of getting into your act or anything about different things, And he took, when we shared our hearts, he put that on you. And, I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, I was really nervous about that because I thought, what if he goes off the deep end because of this? And now I'm the reason this happened. And it was like, I realized that's not true. There's nothing I can really do that's going to push you off the deep end. And a perfect example is what happened over with the tickets and things when your father and I got into a discussion, Tizzy, and you just said this is all my fault. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we shouldn't have done this in front of him. And I'm like, no, this is life. This is our life right now. We're kind of aggravated with each other. We're short on nerves, and this happened, and you got to be the adult and handle it. And we wouldn't argue. What if you go and take drugs now because it's your father and I had a fight in front of you over the tickets and things and stuff? So I just
that's definitely a huge thing.
And if I didn't learn that out there, I probably would have felt I would have wanted to keep you close, come to home, stay at my
guilty
house,
about it, yeah.
And guilty, and I'm thinking, no, this is life. This happens to us all. I can't blame him for things that I do wrong, neither, or you.
I mean, and Christine and I have talked about that multiple times. If we have a disagreement. I said in our last episode, like, addicts should be I felt like I had to explain to Christine that when we have, different points of view on something and if we get into a little argument or disagreement, whatever you want to call it, at first I would feel guilty, like you don't have after what you put her through, you don't have any right to have a difference of an opinion. You should just shut up and, just do what she wants, tell her she's right and blah, blah, blah and stuff like that. And that's something I had to work on. Like, I'm still allowed to have my opinion on something, whether, as long as I do it in an adult and assertive manner. That is quite all right. It's something I've had to stress a few times on this podcast for addicts. Like, you're allowed to.
And that's important.
Yeah. And people are going to, hurt your feelings and do all that. And you have to learn how to process all of those things and not run to a drug every time somebody hurts your feelings or whatever it may be, or does something that upsets you.
Yeah, that is very important for both sides of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have to be able to agree to disagree on things.
Yeah.
And accept each other opinions in that.
No, definitely. Yeah, that's a huge one. And like I said, I think there's probably a lot of parents out there who walk on eggshells around their children who are addicts and in recovery and stuff because they are afraid that if they say something wrong or do something wrong, that their son or daughter is going to go use.
Well, and they could be that way, too, because then they do use that as an excuse to go use,
and that's the
too.
thing, yeah.
I mean, I remember being at one of the meetings out there, and we were together as a whole group, and some of the addicts were getting really upset at the group. Not addicts, but the ones. Did I say that right?
The addicts or the family members?
Well, there were family members and addicts were there.
Yeah.
Some people that were there were, it must have been when we had a speaker. They were really upset about that their family members won't trust them again and this and that. And
I remember that.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, hold on here, bud. Back it up a few steps because you're the one that has done this choice. Now you have to be building up that trust, but don't be always blaming, you can't blame them and stay where you're at.
Yeah, well, it goes both ways.
It does go
I mean,
both
you have
ways.
to be willing to grow with your trust as the other person is proving that they're trustworthy. They're doing the things that can help rebuild trust, but that takes time in anything. And for any addict, now that I will say you don't have any right to force somebody to trust you. That's going to take time. Some people it takes longer than others. That's just the way we are as individuals.
And we see that in our family.
Mm-hmm.
We just see that where you think there were a lot of broken bridges and maybe nothing was going to come from it. But things are slowly, you see people changing their minds and not changing their minds, but moving.
I mean, Uncle Jerry's phone call to me last week was huge too.
And I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, that was an awesome one.
It was good. Because that's important to start, and it starts that way.
No, it does, yeah. Yeah, that is a huge thing, I think. It takes both parties, really, to get things back to where they were.
And maybe, I was listening to your podcast with Christine, but maybe things aren't supposed to go back to the way they were before. Maybe we're supposed to be entering into something newer and better.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Things. I was thinking, I mean, it's okay to go back too, but I just was thinking that I like the newness we have now in our relationship.
Mm-hmm. Well, I said that too. Like even throughout being in rehab and stuff, I always said I don't want to go back to I'm looking forward to my new life.
And that's okay. I'm
Which is
looking
huge.
forward to the newer lives too here and things.
I guess depending on how you use the word and what you mean by it.
It is.
Like I'm ready to go back to my routine with Christine and being with her every
Yes,
day
you are.
and stuff like that. But obviously with the new me going back to those things. So sometimes a language thing.
It's going to be like a new different.
Yeah.
And that's coming too. Again, we just have to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
I always do that with my kids. Like I'm with you on this. I am
Which
with you
you
on
are.
this journey, but
Yeah, that is funny how that works out.
But again, even being out there at Horizon Village and seeing the people who were living there, and then with their little children and their family, my heart was broken. And then you're talking to grandmas and moms, and it just was good for me.
Mm-hmm.
People we're in the same boat, and we've got the same concerns, and I wouldn't trade that experience in my life. It was very good, and it's helped me.
Well, I think that's what just having somebody to listen to you is so important, because you just feel like you're not alone, and to be able to go somewhere where you're with a group of people who all are going through the same thing, that just in itself is such a helpful and beautiful thing, even if there's nobody there to give you tools and skills to change and better things. Even just having somebody, period, just to listen and talk and just be empathetic with you is such a beautiful thing.
And it was there.
And then obviously, out at Horizon Village, they had different things that could teach you different ways and give you different tools to grow faster and to use things. But just having somebody in a group of people that are going through the same thing you are makes you feel like you're not alone. And I think that's obviously, as human beings, that's one of our biggest fears, is being alone. And we want to be connected and accepted and loved. And it's awesome to know when you have people that are just going through the same thing around you.
It is. It is.
That is super important. Because you went to a couple groups, right, at Save the Michaels?
I did.
Support groups when I was out at rehab?
And it really helped. I did. I'm very, very pleased with them, too. I think they did a great job, and, with taking you out there, and probably should go back down to some of those parent groups.
Yeah.
It'd probably be a good thing for me when...
Well, I didn't tell you either. When I got interviewed to get accepted into their recovery coach classes, the one lady... her name might have been Barbara, too. I don't remember exactly. But she asked about if I'd be willing to come and speak at a family group, which I think are Tuesday nights, maybe. I think so. And then I said, yeah, I would love to. And my mom and sister, we all went out to Horizon, so they might be asking us to do that. So we might have to go on tour across the country here.
We got our shirts.
That's right. We wore the Room 9 shirts when we went out to Horizon Village. Yeah, that was awesome.
It was good. It was really good.
It was actually a couple people here that are living in this Oxford house now saw us out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That was good. Very good. That was a good experience, too, and that was really good because I talked to a couple moms, and I think a grandma, too, afterwards. And
that came up
and talked to you. It was very encouraging for me, and I hope they got encouraged, too. I hope they did. They seem to.
If they came up and talked to you, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't have done that.
I do remember at the Save the Michaels, there was a young woman. She spoke, and it was really good to talk to her because there were a couple things going on, and it would have been my first time really hearing a recovered addict sharing her story, and hers went on for quite a few years, so it was very exciting, and I was glad. So she was speaking out there too.
Yeah, I was always thankful mine was rather quick compared to what I've seen a lot of people, some people over a decade.
Well, it's really your choice now
struggling.
how you want to stay. And I think the one thing they've always stressed, when you feel you're going to fall, that's when you got to get to somebody and talk to them. And I'm hoping...
Well, I've said it over and over again. This podcast is really it helps me more than anybody else that listens to it, that helps support it, whatever it is. It's the thing that constantly keeps me, talking about addiction and recovery, and never lets me forget what it was like to, be where I was at in the height of my addiction and how much pain that was and caused other people.
And we're very thankful, that you're doing that, because I think helping others, like I said, there's just so many that just seen out there.
It's crazy how many people are affected by it in one way, shape, or form.
I guess it's just being patient and waiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a big one. And to remind yourself how quick time goes, because it just seems like all this just happened. It's flown by, I feel.
And time has flown by.
When you're in the moment.
But I'm glad I'm here this day than sitting in the court a year ago.
Oh, my gosh,
I'm very,
me too.
very thankful. And I'm thankful your story is, and I guess my story too, is in a positive, I'm so proud of you and everything you've done. And you work very, very hard at it. And I'm so proud you're helping others, because I think by helping others, we help ourselves.
Absolutely.
And when we can comfort others, we end up comforting ourselves too. And, that's just how it goes around.
Yes, it is.
Keeps us on the right tracks of life. Are the right tracks of life? Pondering that, but...
No, it does. I always said if helping people made you feel like crap, you would never do it. So
no, it's good. And
it does. It makes you feel better about yourself. And because one thing that I noticed immediately, too, getting into rehab was... everybody who's relapsed has kind of gotten overconfident, stopped doing things, whether it was going to self-help, whether it was talking to a sponsor or whatever it may be. They stopped doing all that stuff and just tried to live this normal life without thinking about their addiction anymore, and they ended up right back where they started, and they're like, I don't even know how it happened. And I always started saying to myself out in Orangeburg, New York, was, I know I got this as long as I know I don't got this.
I like that too.
And I always, every day I say that to myself. Make sure you're on top of it. Make sure you're aware. And that's the key. You let it slip away what it felt like to be in hell, as I like to call it. And then you're going to be right back there before you know it. Which I hear from a lot of addicts all the time, that they just remember the good times and not the bad times. And when I still think of my addiction, and maybe that's because I keep it fresh in my mind, but I just think about how, I had so much control over me, how that's all I thought about constantly at the end. Every thought was, how am I going to get more drugs? And that's so annoying, so heavy to carry around, is to think and just breathe and live that.
And that
It's
is a
crazy.
good thing I'm thinking my own personal life, I have a list in the front of my Bible of all my ugliness and that. And I don't want to forget what I could become if I chose to back there, and things that I've done. Not all the things, but I'm just in general in my personality, and I just want to keep it in. Again, I'm not looking at it every day. Wow, what a awful person you were. But I don't want to, I really don't. But it just, I want to know that what I could slip into very quickly with my mouth, with my tongue, with my sarcasm that can be funny, but could really hurt people, and then I can be very sharp, and just those things, my weaker areas inside that I've worked on, and I want to. So I think it is good you gotta have some looking back on.
Oh, definitely.
As long as you're not dwelling on it, and it's not bringing you down inside, I think.
Well, that was a big thing for me. I told a lot of people in rehab, I've always, since probably I was 26, I've become a very introspective person, where I really was that's why I fell in love with philosophy and psychology and stuff like that, is because I wanted to make my individuality better. I wanted to become a better person and work on my flaws. And I was doing that for many years without any self-love or acceptance or forgiveness. And if you're any human being, that list, the more you work on yourself and the more you become self-aware and introspective, that list gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't keep up with it. So if you don't have any kind of self-love or acceptance or forgiveness for yourself, you're going to feel like you're a terrible human being. And I definitely was in a spot like that, where I was like, oh my gosh, dude, you suck. You suck at so many things. What is wrong with you? You're terrible. And so there's no cutting myself any slack and stuff like that. And that was another huge thing. And that self-love, and I cannot stress how important that is. For anyone, and that goes outside of addiction. For any human being in general.
Yeah, we do have to love ourselves.
Yes, we do. But any final words of encouragement for parents?
Well, you got to be honest and face up to it. Face things. Try to see your adult child, and as they really are, and that's hard. But when you can do it, and again, I would encourage get help. Just really attend everything you can.
Educate.
If they're in education, to learn. It's just such a different. You've got to be there. You want to help, you want to support, but you do not want to enable them. That's so important. And patience, waiting, just waiting and letting them, I guess, fall on their faces. And you're there. We've always been there to love you. And I hope that made sense.
It did. No, I think that's almost exactly when I had Paul and Jackie Thompson on, and we talked about their son who actually died of an overdose. But we talked about that, and those were some of the main things they said. Is you just gotta educate yourself so you can learn. You can learn that in that line, because that line is so thin between enabling and helping, and it's so easy to cross.
I knew with you in the car. I had to be, like your father was saying, well, let him. I said, I'm not letting him take the car. The car, I'm paying for it. No, we got to do this. But him and I have come to the conclusion, we're helping others with this, with the car, with you, that you're, what you're using and things. And of course, you're taking good care of your mom too. Chauffeuring me to work in the morning. And that's rather nice. So I really have enjoyed that. Maybe I'll never drive again. I'll just let you take me all around.
It might be happening. But all right, Mama, I love you.
I love you too. I just would like to end with how proud I am of you and where you have come. being the anniversary, and I'm almost like speechless. I just can't believe how far that you have come and how hard it's hard work, and I see you doing it all the time, and I'm so proud of you. I just really, really, I love you more than my life. Love you more than tongue can tell.
I know that. Yep. Your signature saying.
Yes. Well, Michelle Lynn's your sister's older sisters first, but yeah, I do love you.
Well, thank you. I love you too, and I'm sure we'll be doing more episodes. So
you think?
We might have to drag my father on here. You guys will have to forgive me for that if we do. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening. Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. As always, you guys are the best. Keep in touch. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Room 9 Podcast. There's a Room 9 Podcast group that I started, so I would like to eventually get discussions going on about each episode and stuff like that. So thank you for listening. Love you guys. The messages I get are amazing. Your support is amazing. Thank you very much. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.